Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, I want you to picture something very simple, yet deeply personal. It's the end of a long day. You've given your time, your energy, your attention to your work, to your responsibilities, to the countless demands that fill modern life. You've solved problems, answered messages, made decisions, and carried expectations. And now you return home. The question is, what are you returning to? Is it a place that welcomes you, or one that overwhelms you? A place that restores your energy, or one that quietly drains what little you have left? Because the truth is, home is not just a physical location. It is an experience. It is a feeling. It is, in many ways, a reflection of your inner world. And yet in today's fast-paced American lifestyle, where productivity is often valued more than peace, and busyness is worn like a badge of honor, many people have unintentionally lost control of that experience. Homes have become storage spaces for stress, rooms filled with distraction, environments shaped more by urgency than by intention. But it doesn't have to be that way, because your home has the potential to be something far more powerful than just a place where you sleep. It can be your sanctuary, your refuge, your place of restoration in a world that rarely slows down. Think about that for a moment. In a society that constantly asks more of you, where do you go to recover? Where do you go to breathe deeply, think clearly, and simply be? The answer should be simple: home. And yet creating that kind of environment doesn't happen automatically. It requires awareness, it requires choice, and most importantly, it requires intention. This is not about luxury. It is not about having a large house, expensive furniture, or a perfectly designed interior. It is about something much deeper: how your space makes you feel. Because at the end of the day, it's not the size of your home that matters, it's the sense of peace within it. Today, we are going to explore how to create that peace, step by step, idea by idea, habit by habit. Not through dramatic transformations, but through small, meaningful changes that anyone can make. Changes that turn a house into a place of calm, a place of clarity, a place where you can reconnect with yourself. So as you listen, I invite you to reflect, not on what your home looks like, but on how it feels, and more importantly, how you want it to feel. Ladies and gentlemen, take a moment, right now, and breathe. Not the kind of breath you take when you're rushing to your next meeting or checking your phone or thinking about everything waiting for you after today. I mean a real breath, slow, intentional, grounding. Because if there's one thing we all share, no matter our background, our careers, our ambitions, it is this: we are tired. We are living in a world that never powers down. Notifications don't sleep, deadlines don't pause, expectations don't shrink. And somewhere in the middle of all that noise, we've forgotten something deeply important. Home is supposed to be the place where we recover. But for many people today, home has become just another extension of stress. It's where work follows us. It's where clutter piles up. It's where our minds continue racing long after the day is done. So today, I want to talk about something simple, yet powerful. Creating a relaxing home environment. Not just decorating a space, not just buying furniture, but intentionally designing a place that restores your energy, calms your mind, and supports your well-being. 1. The meaning of home has changed. Let's start with the truth. The concept of home has evolved. For previous generations, home was clearly defined, a place you returned to after work. A boundary existed. Today, that boundary has blurred. Your home might be your office, your classroom, your gym, your entertainment center, your everything. And while that flexibility is a gift, it also creates a challenge. If your home is everything, how do you make it peaceful? The answer lies in intentionality. A relaxing home environment doesn't happen by accident. It is created through small, thoughtful decisions that add up over time. 2. Your environment shapes your mind. Look around your current living space. What do you see? Clutter? Noise? Harsh lighting? Screens everywhere? Or calm, balance, space to breathe? Science tells us something profound. Your environment directly affects your mental state. A cluttered space increases stress. A chaotic environment makes it harder to focus. Constant noise keeps your brain in a state of alertness. On the other hand, a clean, organized space promotes clarity. Soft lighting encourages relaxation. Natural elements reduce anxiety. In other words, your home is not just where you live. It is something that acts on you every single day. So if you want to feel calmer, Your environment must support that goal. 3. The power of simplicity. Let's talk about something many people struggle with: too much stuff. We live in a culture that constantly tells us to buy more, upgrade more, accumulate more. But here's the truth. Peace does not come from having more. It often comes from needing less. A relaxing home environment thrives on simplicity. This doesn't mean your home should feel empty or cold. It means every item in your space should have purpose or bring you joy. Ask yourself, do I actually use this? Does this make me feel good? Or is it just taking up space, physically and mentally? Decluttering is not just about cleaning. It's about freeing your mind, because every object you own carries a small mental weight. And when those weights add up, they become overwhelming. 4. Creating spaces within your space. One of the most effective ways to create relaxation at home is to define zones. Even in small apartments, even in shared spaces, you can create micro-environments. For example, a corner for reading, a space for working, an area for rest and sleep, a place for reflection or quiet time. Why does this matter? Because your brain responds to cues. When you sit in a specific spot to work, your mind shifts into focus mode. When you move to another area designed for relaxation, your body begins to unwind. Without these distinctions, everything blends together, and your brain never fully switches off. 5. Light, the most underrated element. Let's talk about something we often overlook: lighting. Harsh, bright, artificial light keeps your body alert. Soft, warm light signals relaxation. Natural light boosts mood, energy, and overall well-being. So ask yourself, do I open my curtains during the day? Do I rely only on overhead lighting at night? Do I have softer lighting options? Something as simple as adding a lamp, dimming your lights, or letting sunlight in can completely transform how your home feels. The role of sound and silence. We live in a world filled with constant noise. Televisions running in the background, phones buzzing, traffic outside, voices, alerts, notifications. But relaxation requires something many of us have forgotten: silence, or at least intentional sound. Consider introducing calming audio, soft music, nature sounds, gentle background ambience, and equally important, create moments with no sound at all. Silence is not empty, it is space for your mind to rest. 7. Bringing nature indoors. There is something deeply human about our connection to nature, and yet many of us spend most of our time surrounded by concrete, screens, and artificial environments. Bringing nature into your home can have a powerful effect. You don't need a garden. You can start small: a single plant, natural materials like wood or stone, fresh air through an open window, sunlight on your skin. These simple elements remind your body of something it instinctively understands. You are meant to live in balance with your environment, not in constant tension with it.
8.
Comfort is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Too often we treat comfort as something optional, something we'll invest in later. But if your home is where you recover, then comfort is essential. Think about your bed, your seating, your textures, blankets, rugs, cushions. Are they truly comfortable or just good enough? Because small discomforts add up, and over time they prevent your body from fully relaxing. 9. Digital boundaries at home. Let's address one of the biggest challenges of our time: technology. Our devices are incredible tools, but they are also constant sources of stimulation. If you want a relaxing home environment, you must create digital boundaries. This might look like no phones at the dinner table, no screens in the bedroom, a set time to disconnect each evening. Because relaxation is not just about what you add to your environment, it's also about what you remove. 10. The emotional energy of your space. Finally, let's talk about something less visible, but equally important: the emotional atmosphere of your home. Your home carries energy. The conversations you have, the stress you bring in, the habits you repeat, all of it shapes how your space feels. A relaxing home is not just clean or well-designed. It is a place where you feel safe, you feel accepted, you can be yourself without pressure. So beyond the physical changes, ask yourself, what energy do I bring into my home? What habits do I want to create here? Because at the end of the day, your home is not defined by its walls. It is defined by how you feel inside it. 11. The power of scent and atmosphere. Let's engage one of the most powerful and often overlooked senses: smell. Have you ever walked into a space and instantly felt at ease, or the opposite, felt uncomfortable without knowing why? That's the power of scent. As the writer Helen Keller once said, smell is a potent wizard that transports us across thousands of miles and all the years we have lived. I remember visiting a friend after a long, exhausting week. The moment I stepped into her home, I paused. There was a soft scent of lavender in the air, windows slightly open, a gentle breeze moving through the room. Nothing extravagant. But in that moment, my shoulders dropped. My breathing slowed. I hadn't even sat down yet, and I already felt different. That's what scent can do. Our sense of smell is directly connected to memory and emotion. A simple fragrance can lower stress, improve mood, and even help you sleep better. Creating a relaxing home environment means being intentional about how your space smells. You don't need anything complicated. Fresh air from open windows, natural scents like lavender, eucalyptus, or vanilla, clean spaces free of stale or heavy odors. The goal is subtlety, not overwhelming fragrance, but a gentle atmosphere that welcomes you the moment you walk in. Because relaxation is not just something you see or hear, it's something you feel, instantly. 12. Establishing rituals of calm. A relaxing home is not just about the physical space, it's about what you do in that space. This is where rituals come in. As author James Clear reminds us, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Rituals are those systems. I once spoke to a busy executive who struggled to switch off after work. No matter how hard he tried, his mind kept racing. Emails, meetings, deadlines. Then he created one simple ritual. Every evening, he would come home, change into comfortable clothes, make a cup of tea, and sit in the same chair for 5 minutes. No phone, no noise. At first, it felt insignificant, but after a few weeks, something shifted. The moment he sat in that chair, his body recognized the signal. It's time to slow down. That's the power of ritual. Think about creating simple daily habits like lighting a candle in the evening, making a cup of tea before bed, reading for 10 minutes in a quiet corner, taking a few deep breaths when you enter your home. These rituals don't need to be long or complex. What matters is consistency. Because over time, your brain begins to associate these actions with relaxation. And eventually, the moment you begin the ritual, your body starts to unwind automatically. Now 13. Personalization. Make it yours. A truly relaxing home environment is not copied from a magazine. It is personal. As designer Nate Berkus once said, your home should tell the story of who you are and be a collection of what you love. I once visited 2 homes on the same day. The first was perfectly designed, beautiful furniture, flawless colors, everything in place. But something felt empty. The second home was simpler, not perfect, but on the walls were family photos, travel memories, handwritten notes. You could feel the life in it. And here's the difference. One was styled, the other was lived in. Ask yourself, what makes me feel calm? What colors do I naturally gravitate toward? What objects hold meaning for me? Maybe it's family photos, maybe it's artwork, maybe it's cultural elements that remind you of where you come from. When your space reflects your identity, it creates a deeper sense of belonging. And belonging is one of the most powerful forms of comfort, because relaxation is not just about aesthetics, it's about feeling at home in every sense of the word. At 14. Letting go of perfection. Here's something important to understand. A relaxing home is not a perfect home. In fact, chasing perfection often creates the very stress you're trying to eliminate. As writer Voltaire famously said, perfect is the enemy of good. I once knew someone who wouldn't invite guests over unless everything was spotless. Every cushion aligned, every surface polished. One day a close friend dropped by unexpectedly. The house wasn't perfect. And you know what happened? They laughed, they talked, they shared a meal. And afterwards she admitted something surprising. That was the most relaxed I've ever felt in my own home. Because perfection creates pressure, but authenticity creates comfort. Life happens. Dishes will be left in the sink, laundry will pile up, things will get messy. And that's okay. Instead of striving for perfection, aim for comfort and balance. A home that allows you to breathe even when it's not perfect is far more valuable than one that looks perfect but feels tense. Conclusion. Your home as a sanctuary. Let me leave you with this thought. In a world that is constantly demanding your attention, your energy, your time, you deserve a place that gives something back to you, a place that restores you, a place that calms you, a place that feels like peace. Creating a relaxing home environment is not about perfection, it's about intention. It's about small, consistent choices that transform your space and ultimately your life. So when you go home tonight, don't just walk through your door. Arrive, notice, adjust, create. Because your home has the power to either drain you or heal you. And that choice is yours. As we come to the end of this journey together, I want to bring you back to where we started. That moment, at the end of a long day when you return home. Now imagine that moment again, but this time something is different. You walk through your door, and instead of tension, you feel relief. Instead of noise, you notice calm. Instead of pressure, you experience space. Your shoulders relax, your breathing slows, your mind begins to settle. Not because the world has changed, but because your environment has. Because you made a decision. A decision to no longer let your home be a passive space shaped by circumstance, but an active one, shaped by intention. You chose to create boundaries where there was chaos, simplicity where there was excess, comfort where there was neglect, meaning where there was emptiness. And perhaps most importantly, you chose to create a space that supports you. Because in the end, a relaxing home environment is not about trends or design rules. It is about alignment. Alignment between your space and your well-being, between your environment and your values, between your daily life and your need for peace. And here is something powerful to remember. You don't need to change everything at once. In fact, transformation rarely happens that way. It happens in small moments. One drawer cleared, one light softened, one ritual created, one boundary set. And over time, those small changes become something greater. They become a feeling, a sense of ease that greets you each day, a quiet stability in an unpredictable world. A place where you can return, not just physically, but emotionally. Because the world outside will always be demanding. It will always be fast, loud, unpredictable. But your home can be different. It can be steady, it can be calm, it can be yours. So as you leave here today, don't think of this as just an idea or a concept. Think of it as an invitation. An invitation to reclaim your space, to redefine your environment, to create not just a home, but a sanctuary. A place that restores you, supports you, and reminds you every single day that peace is not something you find by accident. It is something you create. Thank you.